Hello viewers, welcome to my Doctor Who themed YouTube channel, Who Ventures. Hello, I'm happy now because I just feel like to get now because I've had like a day or so to sleep and have really cool sort of Doctor Who based dreams with lots of characters in that were really awesome. And I've actually taken, for the first time in a few days, I've actually managed to take my antidepressant. So usually my format for these reviews for this series has been to review the show straight after the episode before I join any discussions on Gallifrey Base or Twitter. But this time I went on to Twitter and joined some discussions and went on to Gallifrey Base and saw a few bits too. So this might be affected by my seeing what everybody else thinks. But I think it's good that I'm doing it now and not straight after, because I've had time to ruminate on everything in this episode, which was just so much. Hi, future me, just to say, I got 13 on underneath my blue jumper. I thought it'd be appropriate. There's the jean, but no, she's got her blue on. Back to this episode was, I thought of a couple of like metaphors. This episode was like Chibnall chucking Quality Street at me versus Moffat with a nice solid cohesive bar of dairy milk, but it would have to be dairy milk with popping candy, and because it would be like a cohesive but still with surprises. Whereas Chibnall's like, yeah, have a bit of this, have a bit of that, have a bit of this. My other metaphor is speed dating novels at a library, like, yeah, you can have a paragraph of this one, right, have it back now, right, yeah, I can have a paragraph of this one, oh, I'll give it back now, no swapping this, oh, you can have this one again, but you can only have 2 lines, give it back now. That's what this episode felt like for me. And also Dan's in it a lot, but it was like I've also since between episodes from last week's episode to this week's episode, I've actually watched all of the Evil Dan videos, and I love them, and that has cheered me up a lot. And I just think when it's a serial like this, I feel like so much more connected to the fandom, and like we're a big family. It just seems different this time, but then it always seems different in each series because I feel different each series, because I am a dissociative person, so I always feel different every series. But this series, it feels, I think because we've been primed by the Marvel serial TV shows, that it feels like we're all in this together, and that this is the year of serial TV shows and reviewing each episode and getting all together and discussing it. And that's where I feel close to the fandom and close to people in the fandom that I haven't really like met before, because I've met some of them through we've been watching Marvel together and discussing that, and it's like seeing a lot of different voices in the fandom. Especially it's a lot more fun on Twitter, because Gallifrey Base, I love my gang on Gallifrey Base, but it's like a bit lighter on Twitter. Gallifrey Base, it can be a bit intense, but I still love the gang on there. But it can be a lot lighter and a lot more fun on Twitter. Not that I'm slagging anybody off. And also, I love that John Bishop has found the Evil Dan meme, and that he's put that message out today with his dog. And I thought that was so sweet because I think he's gorgeous and hot. And I have a lot of crushes on a lot of celebrities, but I also, when they're in stuff like with Carvanista and the characters like that, it's like either, oh, I have such a crush on you, oh, marry me, but actually go be gay with him, because that would make me even happier. So yeah, so I want, at the end of this whole series, I want Carvanista to, because Dan has not eaten anything at all yet on screen. I want Carvanista to take Dan out for a slap-up meal. That would be awesome. So this episode was all over the place, but I'm learning a lot from Twitter and about seeing it differently and seeing different things. And I had a big dream with lots of Doctor Who elements, and it made me think of different things, which might be just completely bonkers, but this whole series is. So we start with Bal, and Bal is played by Thadia Graham, who I discovered earlier this year when I saw The Irregulars on Netflix, and she played B, and she's absolutely awesome and kick-ass, and I love her already so much anyway, so it's fantastic to see her in Doctor Who, and she plays Bal. So we see Bal, and she's awesome, and she's narrating or telling a story to somebody. She's sending a message to somebody, but we don't know who it is yet. And she's living in this old ruins like castle thing. And then Chibnall has like chucked a load of Daleks in. Here's some Daleks, here's some Cybermen, here's a load of stuff, here's loads and loads of just stuff. And there's a Dalek sector with a load of bronze Daleks. They're apparently CGI, and she's talking about how the times and places don't make sense. And then we see these blue mites, and they're flying around, and they're eating survivors of the Flux, because they sort of, we don't know, that's like remnants of the Flux. And then we're back with the Doctor at the scene of the cliffhanger where Swarm did click his fingers, and the Doctor's analysing things really quickly in her head, and we hear her in a voice and saying how she figures out solutions, and she talks about John Burroughs. She met John Burroughs, that another missing episode that we didn't have, which I would like to see. And then she grabs Dan, and they jump onto these platforms, and then she falls into this time storm, and then there's a weeping angel, and everything is corrupted. And then we see the Doctor in a dark blue coat, and she's with Vinda, Dan and Yaz, and they're all soldierfied with sci-fi guns, and she's 13 is like, wait, what's happening, what's going on, because this isn't 13's memory, and this is actually Ruth Doctor, and so 13 doesn't know what's happening. So Vinda, Dan and Yaz, who represent other people apart from I think Vinda was in the division, and this is just Vinda in being Vinda. So they talk about how the Doctor's got temporal hazing, and she's just lost what she does memory a bit. So Yaz jabs the Doctor, and just and the others say, oh, she loves doing that, I love doing that. So Yaz is representing somebody, but we don't find out who. And they're going into Siege Atropos, and it's the Siege of Atropos. And then the Doctor remembers again what her orders are, but they're like Ruth Doctor's orders, and she says, on my command. And then we're in Liverpool, and Dan is in his time stream because the Doctor's hidden Dan, Yas and Vinda in their own time streams. So we're in Liverpool, and Dan and Diane are getting coffees, and then they're walking through this old ruined chapel or cathedral, and Dan's like, "What's going on?" He's all disorientated, and he sees this cloud of the blue mites flying about, and then it's night time, and this reminiscent, I'd see it on Twitter, it actually reminds me, this reminiscent of when Dr. Moon was with Donny in the computer and Silence in the Library, and the scenes just changed automatically. So Chibnall's sort of nicked that bit. Like, I know he's like involving references and past New Who, and maybe I'm being real harsh saying that he's just copying and just nicking bits, but it's just a lot of repetitiveness. Like, it's like the kind of copy your homework meme. It's like, yeah, but just make it a bit different so nobody knows you're copying. But it's like really obvious though. But anyway, Diane straight out asks him why he's not married. I like that because I would do the same thing. It's like, "Why are you married?" Like, I like how blunt Diane is. It's that just get straight to the point because I relate to that. And then he talks about how he nearly got married, but she changed her mind. Which, but Dan's lovely. Why would you change your mind? He's hot. Like, and then Dan's all disoriented and he's like, "Why am I here? And where are you, Dan?" Because he's like, he zones out a bit. And then we see the passenger is watching them. And then a hologram of the Doctor appears. And she tells like Dan is that she's hiding him in the timeline. And then we see the Doctor and Yaz, and they're in a police car, and this is fun. And the Doctor is dressed as police. And the Doctor tells a really quick story. I had to find that on Twitter to see what the Doctor was actually on about because I couldn't keep up with my notes. So I don't know what's happening. So it's the Doctor in solid form. As somebody else pointed out on Twitter, that in Yaz's timeline, the Doctor appeared solid and really there, but in the other, in Vinda and Dan's timeline, the Doctor's just a hologram. So I thought that was a good point. So, and then the Doctor sort of phases out, and it's actually Yaz's real police colleague. But Yaz is still really confused because this timeline, it doesn't see. She says, but she doesn't actually have these memories. So I don't know if the Doctor's put it into her future or swap the timeline about, or it's something to do with the weeping angels. So Yaz then sees a weeping angel in the wing mirror, but when she goes to look round into the car, it's not there. And then the Doctor appears again, and Yaz is a Doctor, and then we see Vinda. Turns up again, and she tells him what's happening. And then we see that Vinda's got this order to be at the side of the Grand Serpent to like infiltrate the Grand Serpent and see what the Grand Serpent is on about so he can report back to his commander. And then so we see a flash of it's really his commander, but then it holographs back to it being Yaz. So we see Yaz all dressed up in a commander's uniform. And then the Doctor and the team, they are on the planet Time and they're sieging the Atropos place to locate the Ravagers Swarm and Azure, and Doctor's looking at the Maori, and in the hologram version of her timeline, the Maori are massive and the Doctor is tiny in front of them, and the Maori are warning it's really dangerous. And then it pulls her back into her own timeline of the memory of the siege. And Swarm and Azure, and Swarm, he looks all different because he's not got the purple and crystal stuff on his face yet. And then it's with Doctor, and then it's a memory from the Doctor's own time stream, and this is when she was working with Division and she had her team, but 13 doesn't remember any of this. And then we see Dan in the corridors and of these tunnels, and then the Victorian guy Joseph Williamson is there, and he's shooting. And Dan's like, where are we? And the Victorian guy says, Mason Street, Edge Hill, which is really close to Dan's house. And then these blue flux mites are floating about, and Dan's back in Liverpool, and there's a Doctor hologram, and she tells him about that he's being hidden in his own time stream. And then we get sector coordinates, but I wasn't quick enough to write what the coordinates were. And Belle's got a ship, and she's flying through space, and she finds the cyber sector. And she's like, don't overthink it, just move forward. And she's got this Tamagotchi thing called Take Me. And I thought all the way through, even after they revealed that she's actually pregnant, I thought the Tamagotchi was like a little character that had a soul, and it was the Tamagotchi that was just like a little friend. I still didn't realise, but somebody pointed out on Twitter that she's using the Tamagotchi thing to communicate with her unborn child, and the hearts and love stuff was from her child. I didn't actually connect that to that. I just thought it was a cute Tamagotchi, and I thought that was really cute, and thought it had its own personality, and I thought it'd be a lovely another piece of merchandise. And then we're with Vinda and the Grand Serpent. Now, this Vinda and Grand Serpent thing, I probably being a bit harsh, but I didn't really enjoy the Grand Serpent section of this episode, because I felt myself just zoning out at that. It's like, because it went so fast, then there's this Grand Serpent bit, and I wasn't following that at all, and I thought I just got bored, because like anyway, then we go back to Yaz, and Yaz is with her sister and she's playing video games, and the Doctor appears, and she explains to Yaz how she's hiding them all in their own time streams. But then a weeping angel comes from the video game, and it comes out of the TV, and Yaz has to smash the console, and she was with her sister, and the sisters had been talking about how she like needs to be good at video games so she can impress this fella. And then her sisters all like, oh, you don't want me to have a fella, do you? And the blue coat doctor, she's with the team, and they're facing old version of Swarm and Azure. And then we find out what the passenger is, and the passenger is sort of reminiscent of what is like a bit like the Absorbaloff, in that it absorbs souls and lives, but they're still alive with inside the passenger, and it's like a living prison. A bit like the Absorbaloff, and that he absorbs people, but they're still alive inside him. So, I can't follow the notes. Oh, and then old Swarm, he dusts one of the passengers and kills all these millions of lives inside the passenger. Then there's the planet called Time, and we find out that there's been a big battle between time and space, and the Azure and Swarm are on the side of time, I think, and time will not surrender. And then the doctors are like, but it must. And then the Swarm destroys a second passenger and more lives. And then a passenger is glowing, and Doctor's got this pyramid thingy. And this is allowing the Mori back into the stasis fields around Swarm and Azure. And she tells the Mori to embed themselves in so they can get back into their positions. And then we're back with Belle on her ship with Tigme, and then these Cybermen storm in, and she shoots at them, and the Cybermen collapse. And Belle asks the Cybermen what happened and what the aim is, and the Cybermen aim to convert everyone. And then the Cyberman asks Belle what her mission is, and she says, love. And the Cyberman says, love is not a mission, love is an emotion. And then Belle's like, love is the only mission, and that's what. And then she's like, bang bang, bitch. As Belle is awesome, and she talks to Take Me again. And then we're with the meeting with the Grand Serpent and Vinder, and Yaz is also that sort of representing somebody else. I don't know, but we don't know who that is. And then unless Yaz was representing Belle. And then Vinder has to submit this report about the Grand Serpent. And then he's on his Outpost Rose sort of ship, and he's making a report message, and he says, I love you. And then 13's with her team, and then she sees that Dan's got Carvanista's blade shooty thing, and she grabs it and says, hang on, this is familiar. And it turns out that Carvanista was on Reef Doctor's team, and I said to I really enjoyed that Carvanista was actually inside Dan in a very erotic way. But when I said, oh, I really enjoyed that Carvanista was inside Dan, nobody has as big of a filthy mind as I do, and nobody's like, yeah, and everybody's like, yeah, it's got that one. And no, I'm like, Carvanista inside Dan. But because I know we've got evil Dan, but I'm creating erotic Dan. Sorry. Sorry in advance, John Bishop. Sorry for anybody who doesn't like it, but I totally ship Dan and Coven Easter, and I'm really happy that we had in the very first episode we have one of the most intimate gestures, a little boop on the nose. I thought, oh, at least they've had the boop. We always have that boop. Yay. But anyway, so Dan is sort of is representing Coven Easter. Then Yaz is representing somebody, but we don't find out who. And then there's Vinda. Now, I'm probably completely wrong about this, but it feels like Vinda was part of this division team, and that Vinda is just Vinda, and he was actually part of this squad. But I probably got that completely wrong. But it just and then the Doctor wants to find out loads more. She's desperate to find out more about her past, but the Maury warn her that no, because she'll be destroyed, she'll die. And I'm really happy that the Maury, or at least there's somebody like with more power, with the powerful, that actually is caring about keeping the Doctor alive and caring that about her and making sure she doesn't destroy herself. And I'm glad that they actually cared about her, because it's so important to me after what we found out about Tech-Twen in the Timeless Child, that there is some higher person that actually cares about the Doctor and loves her and has the power to look after her and is looking after her. That's really important to me. But then we see this old lady, and she is really mean to the Doctor. It's like, don't you dare blame the Doctor and be mean, and don't you dare be so unspecific. Ah! And she said the Flux event was spatial, so it was on the side of space. And the old lady says the universe is over, the Flux was made and placed. And she says, it's your fault, Doctor. So it's like, no, shut up, old person. Like, this person's called Orsop. It's like, don't be mean to the Doctor. I'm sick of these women, these older women, abusing the Doctor. Stop it. Just stop being horrible to her. I also, Chibnall, the Doctor definitely needs a hug with Yaz this season. Please, can she get a hug with Yaz? How many times? So then there's particles of time force, and then the Doctor, she gets back and she's like, no, and she yells at Yaz, saying, you don't understand, I need to go back in there. And then Swarm says, Dan Lewis. And then there's projection from Passenger, and it's Diane. And Dan's like, oh, we got to do something. And then Swarm is like, what do you want, Swarm? He went to rain in hell. And he snaps his fingers. And then the Doctor, as they're going back to the TARDIS, the Doctor looks in the mirror again, and it's just her again. And Fender gets to have a look in the TARDIS, like, oh, I thought I heard about TARDISes. I didn't think they was real. And he gets to have a go in the TARDIS. So they take they do take Vinda home. So there is a point here where Dan could have had a snack, actually, isn't there? That they take Vinda back to his home. Did they go and yes, there is a point where Dan could have eaten. Very good. As they're leaving Atropos, the lamp comes along. Can you repair? And the doctor's like that. That's like she's trying. She'll try to repair. And I love that little lamp guy. He's awesome. And then Belle, we see Belle is watching Vinda's hologram message, and then we find out that Belle is pregnant with Vinda's child. And there's this big discussion about, are Belle and Vinda the doctor's biological parents? And my opinion is I really hope they are, because they're really, really lovely, and that means she would have a lovely mum and a lovely dad, and that my and I think that would be really sweet. But I also think that she wasn't abandoned when Tectewen found her. The Weeping Angels got Belle and Vinda, and Belle and Vinda are now Weeping Angels, and the Weeping Angel, and they went to be together, or Belle and Vinda got into trouble and that they didn't abandon the child or anything, or that they were in so much trouble they had to give up the doctor to keep the doctor safe, maybe. But I would really like to know that Belle and Vinda are the doctor's parents. And people saying, no, we don't want to know who her parents are. We don't want to know this for sure. I do want to know for sure, because it'd be like nice to sort of wrap it all up and go, at least have the answers at some point, and just have the answers, because, and then we could wrap up that mystery and go forward into future stories, at least have something all neatly wrapped up and solved. Because I want to know, and I want Belle and Vinda to be the doctor's mum and dad, because they're really nice and really lovely. So Vinda gets dropped back on his home planet, or his home place, and we see all Vinda's home is in ruins. And I thought possibly this creepy house that we saw the previous episode that was all black and white, that some people think is Lungbarrow. I don't know any of the Lungbarrow story. I've heard that's where the doctor lived with their family apparently, but I haven't read the book. But I think it would be nice if Belle and Vinda were the doctor's parents. And seeing that how much Chibnall is taken from the previous New Who, it seems like that would be the Rory and Amy with River Song story. So I would actually really like that. But and then we're back in the TARDIS, and Yaz is looking on her phone. The phone goes off, and she looks at it, and there's a weeping angel on the phone, and then it gets out of the phone and it starts flying the TARDIS. And I thought that the weeping angel is possibly Yaz, or the weeping angel is Claire, because on when the 11th Doctor and Amy had the weeping angel adventure with River Song, and there was Silent Bob, or Angel Bob, and the angel retained his consciousness within the angel. I'm thinking that the angel flying the TARDIS doesn't want Yaz, the Doctor, or Dan, doesn't want to attack them. The angel is somebody in a relationship with another angel, and they need to get back to them. Or it's Claire as an angel, and she's trying to solve her own timeline by taking the TARDIS. But it feels like I don't know, they say, although doing all that probably doesn't help somebody realise that maybe you're on their side, maybe like doing that would work better. But I think this angel isn't trying to, isn't after attacking people. They they need somebody, and that's why they've taken the TARDIS, and that's why we're going back to the 60s in the next episode, because it just feels like that particular angel is on a mission that I don't want to eat Yaz, but like the way they come out of the screens is like, no, I'm not trying to be scary. What are you doing? Stop! I'm trying to do something. But they can't not be scary. It's like, how do they interact without terrifying them? But so, so even though uh, this this episode was all over the place, but speaking after interacting on Twitter this time, I'm veering towards giving this one an 8, because so far I've been a 7, but I'm going towards an 8, and I don't. But I would love if Thadia Graham, I thought, who plays Belle, I would love for her to be the 14th Doctor. She's now rivaling Tessa Thompson as my choice for the 14th Doctor. I think she would be fantastic. And I'm so happy that everybody loves her as much as I do. It's like, yay! Awesome! So I do agree that when it's like showing stuff that that Reef Doctor did, that perhaps Jo Martin should have got more screen time. But I also I've just seen via Twitter that video about Jodie talking about how she played as the Reef Doctor, how she changed her body and her posture to reflect that. I thought that was very interesting, and I thought that was cool. But yeah, I can totally understand that Jo Martin could have had more of the screen time as Reef Doctor. Overlap them visually, so it's like 13th and Jo Martin sharing the same body visually. That could have been interesting. And then there's Joseph Williamson guy just popping up all over the place. But yeah, so I hope there's going to be more Dan and Carvanista directly interacting and get and hugging and stuff. But that's just me totally shipping Dan and Carvanista. So if you want to, because my brain, all my thoughts have fell out, all my theories have fell out of my brain. Oh yeah, that was the theory I dreamed about, and it's probably sounds a bit more and more crazy now. And I dreamt thought that the old lady bit was actually the TARDIS, and the TARDIS is pregnant, and somebody on Twitter said, "Oh, is that looms a pint? That TARDIS is pregnant, and that looms create the TARDIS. Like the looms create TARDISes and not Time Lords." and that the old lady is the TARDIS, and she's pissed off at the Doctor because the TARDIS is pregnant. That was my sort of dream thought. That I was doing. Oh yeah, that's really good theory. Oh yeah, that's really good. But so I'll be excited when the whole series is over and somebody sort of edits together each character's story into their own. So we see a straight version, like straight through of one character's timeline. That would be interesting to see. But yeah, so it was all over the place this week. So yeah, any other theories that I have will be on my Twitter at CuriosityBox, because I'm trying to think of what I was going to say, but now I've forgotten everything. So also look out on my timeline on my Twitter this week, because there might be some Dan art, but I am very busy with doing lots of different art at the moment. I'm doing Strictly art, I'm doing Animal Alphabet art, and I have a Marvel piece to do, but I really want to get on with my Dan and Coveney art, so that might be at the top of the list this week. So keep an eye out for that. So yay, I hope you have enjoyed this review, and thank you for watching. Yay!